Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Vande Guru Nisha Bhakta Nisha Nisha Avatarakan Tat Prakasham Statat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Sangyakam Granthera Arambha Kori Mangalacharana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinirasmarana Hai Vighana Vinashana Anayase Hayanidva Vanchita Purana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanandau Sahoditau Gaudaudaya Pushpa Vantau Chitrau Sandau Tamau Nudau Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, dear worshipable devotees, for joining. We are reading Sri Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, the ocean of nectar of Lord Chaitanya and his worshipable devotees. So we read till text number 84 yesterday. I'm sorry, 86 yesterday. And no, so sorry, 83. We are about to read from 84. So we will read from text number 84. Till 83, we discussed about the Mangala Charan, the aspects, the 5 aspects. Vande Shri Guru, Vande Guru Isha Bhaktan, the devotees, Ishan, Isha Avatara Khan, the avatara's incarnation, Tat Prakashams, the Prakasha, and the Vilasa, and Tat Shakti, the 3 Shaktis, Lakshmi Shakti, Gopi Shakti, and Mahishi Gana. So Lakshmi Gana, Gopi Gana, and Mahishi Gana, the queens of Dwarka. Now, special reference to Sri Balramji. 84. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanandau Sahoditau Gaudaudaye Pushpavantau Chitrau Shandau Tamau Nudau. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I offer my respectful obeisance unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and the moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. Hare Krishna. So, very, very important verse. It is the same verse as text number 2 of this chapter. Adi-lila, chapter 1, text 2. So when something is repeated, that too in the same chapter, that certainly means it's important. And of course, this is a prayer for Krishna and Balram, for Chaitanya and Nityananda, both together. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya, my obeisance unto Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Nityananda, no, Saha. Saha means together. Sahapati, in Hindi we say Sahapati, or Saha is also used many. Rama, Lakshmani, Saha Gachati. Saha means together. Sahapati means one who studies together. We are all Sahapatis in this Caitanya-Caritāmṛta study. We are studying together, Saha. So Saha means together. So all Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared together. In this, where did it appear? Gauda Uday. Surya Uday, Chandra Uday. So Gauda Uday in the area of Bengal called Gauda Desha, and we discuss in great detail the meaning of Gauda Desha. Pushpa Vantau, the sun and the moon together. Chitrau, Chitra means beautiful, wonderful. Sandau Tamaha Nudau, Tamaha, to dissipate the darkness of ignorance, to dissipate the effects of Kali Yuga, to dissipate the evil in the hearts, in the consciousness, by the chanting, by propagating the chanting of the holy name. That was their main objective. Again, it's a memory verse. Let's try to sing it one more time. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahoditau Gaura Udaye Pushpavantau Chitrau Sandau Tamonadau. Hare Krishna. Let's read the next one, 85, 86. Anyone wants to read this one? Yes, Moksha Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, all devotees, Danvat Pranam. Text 85-86. Vraje ye vihare purve Krishna Balarama Koti Surya Chandra Jini Donhara Nij Dham Sehi Doi Jagar Tere Ha Iya Sadaya Goda Deshe Purva Shaile Karila Udyaya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Krishna and Balarama, the personalities of Godhead who formerly appeared in Vrindavan and were millions of times more effulgent than the sun and moon, have arisen over the eastern horizon of God Desha, West Bengal, being compassionate for the fallen state of the world. So here we already are cognizant of the fact that uh, uh, Sri Balram is more merciful than that of Sri Krishna, and also if we talk about um, Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu, then they are even more merciful than the incarnations of Sri Krishna and Balaram. So here we see that as both of the personalities of Godhead being showing mercy on our fallen position, have incarnated themselves in Bengal so that we can get some uh, intelligence to get some liberation. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Koti Koti Danvat Pranam.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Very nicely you mentioned this verse, and again, important verse that Krishna, Chaitanya, and Nityananda are same as Vraje ye vihare purve, the same personalities. Purva means pehle or earlier, formerly. The same personalities did Vraja Vihara. They played with coward friends and did different pastimes. They are the same personalities now have appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. The same Krishna Balaram has appeared as Chaitanya and Nityananda. Brajendra Nandana Jai Sachi Sutta Hoilo say Balaram Hoilo Nitai. The famous bhajan by Nautan Das Thakur, I believe. So here also, same fact is mentioned. They have come. And we have discussing in the Vamandev pastime also. When Vamandev entered, his brilliance, his effulgence was like the millions of sun. The tiny effulgence of so-called sun, so-called some priest and some brahmanas. What is it compared? So the sun, which is now it's sunrise, we can't even see the sun because it's so bright for us to imagine millions of suns put together. Can there be any inch of or any micro particle of darkness when millions of suns are together? No, there cannot be. Only if a person chooses to stay inside the closed chambers and put blanket over oneself, then they will be untouched by the mercy. But then devotees are so merciful, they'll knock their doors and say, hey, get out of your blanket and take chant Hare Krishna. They are even more merciful. So let's see the next verse. Yes, Ekant Prabhu, want to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Are Prabhu Nityananda Yan Hare Prakashe Sarva Jagat Ananda. Oh wow, I like this sloka Prabhuji. Somehow it's so catchy. Translation: the appearance of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda has surcharged the world with happiness. Thank you, Prabhuji. Back to you.
Thank you. No doubt. It is so catchy and it gives so happiness because we are talking about Chaitanya and Nityananda. We're always happy and they have come. Why? To Yanhara Prakashe Sarva Jagat Ananda. The whole world is suffering in this material world. Therefore, the Lord, out of darkness of ignorance, so the sun and the moon have come together to surcharge the world with Ananda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ara Prabhu Nityananda Yanhara Prakashe Sarva Jagata Ananda. Try to sing in this meter. So it's like a song, it's like a beautiful melody. All the Bali verses, Sanskrit verses. There are a lot of Sanskrit verses also in this from other scriptures like Bhagavatam that will sing in the regular meter. So this is again, and these are so easy to remember and easy to learn also. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ar Prabhu Nityananda Yanhara Prakasha Sarva Jagata Ananda. So they have come to give Ananda, to give pleasure, happiness to everyone. Let's see what happens next. Anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, devotees, Dandapana. Surya Chandra Hare Yeche Sabha Adakara Vastu Praksiya Kare Dharmera Prachara E Matadhu Bhai Jivera Agnana Tamonasha Kari Kaile Tattva Vastu Dhana. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As the sun and the moon drive away darkness by their appearance and reveal the nature of everything, those brothers dissipate the darkness of ignorance covering the living beings and enlighten them with knowledge of absolute truth. Vishnu Prabhuji, wonderful translation. So here Prabhupada is telling that how Krishna and Balram, two brothers, dissipate the darkness and ignorance covering the living beings, like how the sun brings the brightness to all of us. Same way Krishna and Balram, with their appearance, reveal everything and dissipate the darkness from our lives and enlighten with the torch of knowledge, with absolute truth. Thank you, Prabhuji. Back to you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So nice verse again. The Lord is specially descended to remove our darkness and to give us happiness. That's the main purpose. Text 90. Anyone wants to read? Isn't yet read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes, please.
ধন্যবাদ প্রণাম devotees. Prabhupada. অজ্ঞানতমের নাম কহিয়া কৈতব ধর্ম অর্থ কাম মোক্ষ বাঞ্ছায়াদি সব. Translation by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The darkness of ignorance is called kaitava, the way of cheating, which begins with religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So kaitava dharma. Kaitava means cheating dharma, cheating process. A lot of people in this world, on the name of even guru or in the name of well-wisher, what they tell? They tell us, oh, grow your business, grow your money, grow your, what these four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But these are not the real religion. These are the kaitava dharma. Economic development, sense gratification, how to get heavenly planets, how to be more successful in business, etc. Lot of gurus, lot of so-called gurus, lot of so-called babas, so-called teachers, so-called dharmas are teaching all this in this age of Kali Yuga, especially. This is what? Darkness. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda appeared to remove that darkness of kaitava dharma, to bring the true sun of knowledge, true sun and moon of knowledge, so that all these kaitava dharma, the so-called cheating process can be removed. And Prabhupada, when he came to US, so-called so many, ideas. He's God, she's God, I am God, you are God, everyone is God. It's all cheating religion. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings give us the pure message of Krishna consciousness, like the sun, as clear as sun, right? As we say, you can't miss it, as like the noon sun. No one can say, I can't see the noon sun. Okay, let's read the next verse, text 91. Someone wants to read this. It's a pretty long purport, so we'll split in maybe multiple sections. Yes, Nandini Mataji, want to start?
Yes, Prabhu, Dandat Pranam. Text 91. Dharma projita kaitavo tra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapa trayo mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Parir Ishvara Sadhyo Rudhi Avaruddhatyade Atra Kirtibhi Shubhish Tatkshanat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Mahamuni Vyasadev from 4 original verses, describes the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees and completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity. It propounds the highest principle of eternal religion, which can factually mitigate the threefold miseries of a living being and award the highest benediction of full prosperity and knowledge. Those willing to hear the message of this scripture in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Therefore, there is no need for any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. Purport. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2. The words Mahamuni Krite indicate that Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva, who is sometimes known as Narayana Mahamuni, because he is an incarnation of Narayana. Vyasadeva, therefore, is not an ordinary man, but is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He compiled the beautiful Bhagavatam to narrate some of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. In Srimad Bhagavatam, a distinction between real religion and pretentious religion has been clearly made. According to this original and genuine commentation on the Vedanta Sutra, there are numerous pretentious faiths that pass as religion, but neglect all the real essence of religion. The real religion of a living being is his natural inborn quality, whereas pretentious religion is a form of nescience that artificially covers a living entity's pure consciousness under certain unfavorable conditions. Real religion lies dormant when artificial religion dominates from the mental plane. A living being can awaken this dormant religion by hearing with a pure heart. The path of religion prescribed by Srimad Bhagavatam is different from all forms of imperfect religiosity. Religion can be considered in the following 3 divisions: the path of fruitive work, the path of knowledge and mystic powers, and the path of worship and devotional service. The path of fruitive work, karma kanda, even when decorated by religious ceremonies, meant to elevate one's material condition, is a cheating process because it can never enable one to gain relief from material existence and achieve the highest goal. A living entity perpetually struggles hard to rid himself of the pangs of material existence. But the path of fruitive work leads him to either temporary happiness or temporary distress in material existence. By pious fruitive work, one is placed in a position where he can temporarily feel material happiness, whereas vicious activities lead him to a distressful position of material want and scarcity. However, even if one is put into the most perfect situation of material happiness, he cannot in that way become free from the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. A materially happy person is therefore in need of the eternal relief that mundane religiosity in terms of fruitive work can never award. I'll stop here, Prabhu. So just to summarize few important points. First of all, Srimad Bhagavatam completely rejects the materially motivated religiosity, the kaitava dharma, the cheating propensity that a person may get. As soon as a person is little contaminated, we are pure souls, but as soon as a little greed, a little envy, whatever appears, we have become contaminated, and we become, it's a kaitava dharma. We try to do so-called religion, we try to show off, and you open that sincerity is not there. It's just for self-interest. It's not for paropkar. Must be done with the elevation of Supreme Personality of God. He's not simple. He's a Narayana Muni. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the Samambom.
Hare Krishna Mataji, somehow your voice is breaking.
Yes, Prabhu. I had lost connection there for a minute. Okay, so Vyasadeva is literally incarnation of Godhead. He's referred to here as Narayana Mahamuni. And second very important thing is this in this verse is Nirmatsaranam Shatam. One who is same qualification as Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna says, you are Anaga, you are non-envious. When we are that, then we can taste the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, we'll have the bitter taste. And that is, and another important point here is Vyasadev wrote this after Vedanta Sutra because his heart was not satisfied, and his heart is satisfied when this karma kanda is rejected, when any tinge of karma kanda or karma yoga or buddhi yoga, the half-hazard processes which may not give us bhakti, when done in proper way or with motivation. So this is like rising like a sun, as you just had said, and this one is a sure 100% cure to our eternal disease of birth, death, old age, and disease, and it can really take out out of those pangs. Back to you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavats.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Paswati Mataji, would you like to continue?
Yes, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. The paths of the culture of knowledge, Jnana Marga, and of mystic powers, Yoga Marga, are equally hazardous, for one does not know where one will go by following these uncertain methods. An empiric philosopher in search of spiritual knowledge may endeavor most laboriously for many, many births in mental speculation, but unless and until he reaches the stage of the purest quality of goodness, in other words, until he transcends the plane of material speculation, it is not possible for him to know that everything emanates from the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. His attachment to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord makes him unfit to rise to that transcendental stage of Vasudeva understanding, and therefore, because of his unclean state of mind, he glides down again into material existence, even after having ascended to the highest stage of liberation. This fall down takes place due to his want of a locus standi in the service of the Supreme Lord. As far as the mystic powers of the yogis are concerned, they are also material entanglements on the path of spiritual realization. One German scholar who became a devotee of Godhead in India said that material science had already made laudable progress in duplicating the mystic powers of the yogis. He therefore came to India not to learn the methods of the yogis' mystic powers, but to learn the path of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord. As mentioned in the great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, mystic powers can make a yogi materially powerful and thus give temporary relief from the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease, as other material sciences can also do. But such mystic powers can never be a permanent source of relief from these miseries. Therefore, according to the Bhagavata school, this path of religiosity is also a method of cheating its followers. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly defined that the most elevated and powerful mystic yogi is one who can constantly think of the Supreme Lord within his heart and engage in the loving service of the Lord. So, will I stop here, Prabhuji, and explain what I understood?
Sure, Mataji.
So here, in this part, what Prabhupada is explaining clearly that what is the mystic power and why it is not the path of liberation. And it's just the mystic yogis can fall down anytime, because they may go to the forest and they may go to the mountain, leaving everything and do yoga, but still they have desire. So they easily can fall down. And I heard Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj one lecture, and it's a pastime of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And that time Bhakti Vinod Thakur was a magistrate of Odisha and Puri. And there, one mystic yogi, he was very powerful, and it's a big story, but I'm just giving a short. He was a mystic yogi, and his power was in his hair. And Srila Bhakti Rasamrita Swami explaining very nicely that Bhakti Vinod Thakur was protest him because he thought himself, and he was declared himself as Narayan, and that's why that mystic Bhakti Vinod Thakur put him in the jail. And because of that, Bhakti Vinod Thakur had some trouble, like he had fever and everything, in his whole family had a fever and everything, but still he was protested for this mystic yogi who was a kind of fraud, because he has power in his hair. And when they cut his whole hair down, and that time that yogi lost all his powers. So that's an example Maharaj was explaining, and that's a pastime of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So that's like a mystic yogi who can have some power, who can have some, but that is not the path of transcendental loving service for the Lord. Like, that's why Prabhupada in the last sentence, he explained, he is the real mystic yogi who always thinks about Lord Krishna, who is always think about the Supreme Lord. So that's my understanding, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bharatik Prabhu, you want to read next section of this?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Devotees, Dandavata. The path of worship of the innumerable devas or administrative demigods is still more hazardous and uncertain than the above-mentioned processes of Karma Kanda and Gnana Kanda. This system of worshipping many gods, such as Durga, Shiva, Ganesha, Surya, and the impersonal Vishnu form, is accepted by persons who have been blinded by an intense desire for sense gratification. When properly executed in terms of the rites mentioned in the Shastras, which are now very difficult to perform in this age of want and scarcity, such worship can certainly fulfill one's desires for sense gratification, but the success obtained by such methods is certainly transient, and it is suitable only for a less intelligent person. That is the verdict of the Bhagavad Gita. No sane man should be satisfied by such temporary benefits. None of the above mentioned three religious paths can deliver a person from the threefold miseries of material existence. Excuse me. Namely, miseries caused by the body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, and miseries caused by the demigods. The process of religion described in Srimad Bhagavatam, however, is able to give its followers permanent relief from the threefold miseries. The Bhagavatam describes the highest religious form, reinstatement of the living entity in his original position of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord, which is free from the infections of desires for sense gratification, fruitive work, and the culture of knowledge, with the aim of merging into the absolute to become one with the Supreme Lord. Should I continue, Prabhu? Any process of religiosity based on sense gratification, gross or subtle, must be considered a pretentious religion because it is unable to give perpetual protection to its followers. The word projhita is significant. Pra means complete and ujhita indicates rejection. Religiosity in the shape of fruitive work is directly a method of gross sense gratification, whereas the process of culturing spiritual knowledge with a view to becoming one with the absolute is a method of subtle sense gratification. All such pretentious religiosity based on gross or subtle sense gratification is completely rejected in the process of Bhagavata Dharma, or the transcendental religion that is the eternal function of the living being. Bhagavata Dharma, that's okay. Should I continue, Prabhu? Bhagavata Dharma, or the religious principle described in Srimad Bhagavatam, of which the Bhagavad Gita is a preliminary study, is meant for liberated persons of the highest order, who attribute very little value to the sense gratification of pretentious religiosity. The first and foremost concern of fruitive workers, elevationists, empiric philosophers, and salvationists is to raise their material position. But devotees of Godhead have no such selfish desires. They serve the Supreme Lord only for his satisfaction. Sri Arjuna, wanting to satisfy his senses by becoming a so-called non-violent and pious man, at first decided not to fight. But when he was fully situated in the principles of Bhagavata Dharma, culminating in complete surrender unto the will of the Supreme Lord, he changed his decision and agreed to fight for the satisfaction of the Lord. He then said, Nasto moha smritir labda tvat prasadan mayachyuta stitosmi gata sandeha karisye vachanam tava. My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Bhagavad Gita 18.73. It is the constitutional position of the living entity to be situated in this pure consciousness. Any so-called religious process that interferes with this unadulterated spiritual position of the living being must therefore be considered a pretentious process of religiosity. The real form of religion is spontaneous, loving service to Godhead. This relationship of the living being with the absolute personality of Godhead in service is eternal. The personality of Godhead is described as Vastu, or the substance, and the living entities are described as Vastavas, or the innumerable samples of the substance in relative existence. The relationship of these substantive portions with the supreme substance can never be annihilated, for it is an eternal quality inherent in the living being. By contact with material nature, the living entities exhibit varied symptoms of the disease of material consciousness. To cure this material desire is the supreme object of human life. The process that treats this disease is called Bhagavata Dharma or Sanatana Dharma, real religion. This is described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, anyone who, because of his background of pious activities in previous lives, is anxious to hear Srimad Bhagavatam immediately realizes the presence of the Supreme Lord within his heart and fulfills the mission of his life. Hare Krishna, devotees. There have been a lot of examples that have been mentioned in this purport, and from my understanding, to keep it short, what I understood is as we have been reading in Srimad Bhagavatam or in Bhagavad Gita, that the essence is that the purest form of attaining our spiritual realization is by devotional service, and that is the purest and the topmost form of attaining the Supreme Lord. So all the other means, they are considered to be less significant and would not really lead us to the ultimate realization. So whether it be it Gnana Yoga or performing through other forms of yoga systems, because being in this human form of life, it is also explained that people are naturally inclined to go through the process of suffering, being in this material world, because of the nature of this material world. I mean, there those threefold miseries that we discuss about, the Adi-daivik, Adi-bhautik, Adhyatmik, have also been described in this purport, that the best process for us is to follow the Bhagavata Dharma, which is the science of Krishna consciousness. And that's like at a very high level, the summary of this purport. Prabhu, you can add a little more to it, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karthik Prabhu. Again, lot of important verses in this. So let's take a second look at this verse. This is the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which explains the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaitava. So we discussed this. Pra-ujita, completely rejecting the false dharma or the so-called dharma, the Gyan marg, the Karma Kand marg, the demigod worship, the so-called Baba worship, all these is not the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam, or not the goal of people who accept Bhagavatam as their life and soul. Atra, this word atra means this. This is that true Bhagavatam. It's repeated twice, actually thrice in this verse. Atra, atra, atra. This is this thing. This is the pure thing. This is the pure thing. This is this pure thing. Parama, Parama, the topmost. This is the topmost, highest truth. Now, who can understand this? Nirmatsaranam satam. The Sat people, the sadhus, the Sat, those who follow the Sat marg, those who are non-envious. Matsa. Matsa refers to the fish, right? Fishes are sometimes said to be as envious. Nirmatsaranam, that means those who don't have that envious mentality. Vedyam vastavam atra. Again, atra here. This is the real Vedyam vastavam vastu. Vastav vastu. The vastav, this is a factual truth. This is a real truth of all the essence. It distinguishes the highest reality from illusion. That means this is the real substance, vastu. Shivadam. This is very, very auspicious as well. Shivadam means auspicious. or for everyone's welfare. Lokamangalam, tapa, traya, unmulanam. We are suffering from the threefold miseries, Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adi Atmik, the Traya. Three tapa, it can destroy or uproot. Unmulanam. Mool means root. Unmulitam. They can be uprooted by their roots. Their mool or their roots will be uprooted. Of what? Of these three tapa. Adi Bhautik, Adi Atmik, Adi Daivik. How? By Srimad Bhagavatam Maha, which is not created by any Tom, Dick, Harry. Who has compiled this? Mahamuni Kriti, Srila Vyasadev ji, who is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that too in his maturest state of spiritual realization. Kimva Pare Mahamuni Kriti. So Kriti means he has compiled it. Kimva Pare. Para, then what is the need for any other thing? What is the need to read this, Purana or this Upanishad and that Upanishad and this book and that Baba and this? There is no need. Srimad Bhagavatam is all complete. It's all auspicious. It's for the welfare of everyone. It can give us which no other scripture can give. Ishwarah sadayo hriday avarudhyate. Ishwaraha, the Supreme Lord, Sadayodha, is established. Where is he established? In the heart, in the region of the heart. Avarudhyate, he is established. He becomes confined. He is blocked in the chambers of the heart of the devotees. Who are atra, again, the third time atra is mentioned, who are sincerely reading this Bhagavatam. Kriti bhi sushru, shravan, shrunvanti, who are taking this matter seriously, who are submissively hearing this message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then one may say, well, how many years will it take? How many decades will it take? How many lifetimes will it take? Tat shanat. No. At that very moment, shan. At that shan means at that moment, Srimad Bhagavatam will establish the true principles of pure dharma, Bhagavad dharma, pure message of Krishna consciousness in the heart of a person who is sincerely hearing Shravan. So again, quickly, is the highest form of dharma which uproots the so-called dharma, and the saintly people who are free from the envious mentality can understand this true substance of all what is to be known. Vedaham samatitani vartaman. What's that word? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattasmita jnanam apohanam cha. Vedeshcha sarver ameva vedyo vedanta krit veda vid evacham. From all the Vedas I am to be known. This is the real vastu. Atra, auspicious. Traya tapa unmulinam. Uproot three miseries. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamuni Krite, who is the author, compiler. No need of anything else. Kimva pare. Ishwaraha sadhayo hriday an avarudhyate. The Lord is established. And then, for with whom? Who hear? With sushru, not just so-called hearing. Real hearing means following the message of Bhagavatam. Tat shanat, at that very moment, Krishna will be established. So lot of important points in this. It's very deep, and again, a memory verse too. For those who like to learn verses, you can, because it speaks about the glories of Bhagavatam, and the second verse of Bhagavatam, which is repeated here in Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. So a living entity can awaken the dormant religion by, this is the line here, by hearing with a pure heart. Very, very important line. Because real religion lies when the artificial religions is this line, real religion lies dormant. That means it's in a sleeping state. Our constitutional position is in a sleeping state or dormant state when we are on the mental plane of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, etc. Of this Baba, that Baba, etc. We'll be caught up. So all these paths, karma kanda path, etc., are very, very, very dangerous. Prabhupada is writing here the word hazardous. So here Prabhupada is also mentioning about the demigods. So again, we know Caitanya-Caritāmṛta is not generally for the beginners, but all of us have been reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So when the new person joins Krishna consciousness, we may not say anything. They may worship this Baba, this Durga Devi, this Ganesha, etc., which is fine. In the beginning, we won't say anything. But if a initiated devotee is also at the same level, or if a devotee who is aspiring to get initiation, this is not expected from such a person. This is Prabhupada's mode. I'll just repeat his words. This system of worshipping demigods such as Durga, Ganesha, Surya, etc., impersonal Vishnu form is accepted by persons who have been blinded by intense desire for sense gratification. Quite strong words here. But it is, again, as we know, Caitanya-Caritāmṛta is not for the any kind of a person who has just started. They first read Bhagavad Gita, etc. But so if someone is seriously wanting to follow Bhagavad Dharma or the Krishna consciousness, then this is Prabhupada's mood. That means 100% unalloyed attention. No sane man should be satisfied by temporary benefits. So very, very clear. But the point is, I have my own thoughts. What else Bhagavatam gives? The process of religion. What will Bhagavatam give to its followers? Permanent relief from the threefold miseries, which no one else can give. Dharma, artha, kama, demigods, they cannot give permanent relief. They can only give temporary benefits. So no sane person should. And a very, very important point here, that Arjuna also had his thoughts in the beginning. Oh, I don't want to fight. I want a pious, non-violent man. That gives so many wonderful logical reasons to not fight. But when he was fully satisfied with Bhagavad Dharma, Krishna's words, then he said, I will do what you say. My doubts have been cleared. I'm so grateful to you for clearing all my doubts. I was thinking I know everything, but I was a fool. Now I am firm and free from doubt and prepared to act according to your instructions. So this is the big thing. If even after hearing Bhagavatam, even after hearing Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, if I still say, no, I will hear what you say, but I will do what I want to do, or what my uncle used to do, or what my grandmother used to do, then what is the point of hearing Bhagavatam? If they're following truly Bhagavad Dharma, then it's great. But if they're not, then we need to see what I should be doing. So basically that's Bhagavad Gita. To give up our own whims and fantasies, to give up our own so-called ideas here, read the Bhagavat Marga, understand the Bhagavat Marga, follow the Bhagavat Marga, and be free from doubt and illusion, and then the message will work. Otherwise, if we still remain attached to our so-called ideas, even after reading Bhagavatam, understanding Bhagavatam, having doubts on Bhagavatam, having doubts on devotees, etc., then it will not take us anywhere. Rather, we will be confused. So immediately, that word tatshanat, that person, anyone is anxious to hear Bhagavatam, immediately realize the presence of the Lord within his heart and fulfills the mission of life. So the mission of life is to read and hear Bhagavatam and follow Bhagavatam, which also includes the book Bhagavatam and the person Bhagavatam, like Srila Prabhupada, and the pure devotees of the Lord. So very, very important verse this is. Therefore we do Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We try to do. Nitya means eternal, but at least daily is not a bad idea either for some time. Any comments, additions, thoughts? I see Her Grace Ananta Mataji is also present. If Mataji want to share something or correct, please. Sorry, this is a long purport. Why? Why is it a long purport? Because Prabhupada, is giving his Bhaktivedanta ecstatic purport, because such an important verse. Whenever there's a question about hearing, Prabhupada gives elaborate purport. This is my observation. Any verse which talks about hearing Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam, Prabhupada gives elaborate purports to those verses. This is one of amongst those many. Any other comments anyone has? Okay, so it's kind of Krishna's arrangement that we are reading Caitanya-Caritāmṛta and Bhagavatam together, because both are Bhagavatam only. So in the next couple of minutes, let's just continue reading this, following the next few verses. 92, anyone wants to read? Who hasn't gotten a chance yet?
Krishna Prabhu, I can.
Please.
Krishna is Dalvatnam. Always Srila Prabhupada. Text 92. তার মধ্যে মোক্ষবাঞ্ছা কৈতব প্রদান যাহা হইতে কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি হয় অন্তর্ধান. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The foremost process of cheating is to desire to achieve liberation by merging into the Supreme. For this causes the permanent disappearance of loving service to Krishna. Purport. The desire to merge into the impersonal Brahman is the subtlest type of atheism. As soon as such atheism disguised in the dress of liberation is encouraged, one becomes completely unable to traverse the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, back to you.
Any comments, Prabhu? Thank you for reading.
So, Srila Prabhupada is actually hammering here again that the real, our real religion is serving the Lord. But as Prabhupada was mentioning before, and here Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Charan is saying that all the Kaitava religion, we learn that dharma, artha, moksha, all these things are Kaitava religion, but among them, the liberation, even this liberation is actually meant in different ways to different persons. So the person who understands liberation as to merge with the Brahman effulgence, that is the straightforward is a Mayavadi philosophy. And we heard several occasions that even hearing the Mayavadi philosophy, actually it destroy our main religion, that is this serving the Lord, that is the bhakti. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning it here. So that part, that the reason is that if we merge, then we have to come back again and back into the birth, death, disease, old age, all these processes. So getting into that merging propensity is actually it's not, we are losing our times. So that's my understanding. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Tamadhye. Tamadhye means amongst these kaitava dharmas, what is the pradhan? Pradhan means chief, pradhan mantri. Who's the pradhan? The pradhan kaitava is moksha vancha. Moksha vancha, the desire of impersonal liberation. The impersonal liberation, the yujya mukti, to become one with the Lord. If we remember, His Grace Pran Govind Prabhu one time gave a class, and he said, oh, if you have a choice between roommates, then whom will you pick? A person who wants to become one with the Lord, or a person who is atheistic? Atheistic does not have a lot of understanding of the Lord, but he is the kind of a happy-go-lucky person and likes to eat outside, likes to, have friends, likes to eat, dance, etc. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and you'll be surprised to hear this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's better to have that association of person who is, in that mood. Oh, he likes to eat good stuff, he likes to dance, he likes to have rasa, or perverted rasa even, because that person at least has the conception of some rasa, but it's in a perverted form. But this vansha moksha, or moksha vansha, is that, oh, everything is one, no, just shanti, 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 everything just stays silent, silent, neti, neti, everything just shunya, nirvishesha shunyavadi paschata deshatarane. Therefore, in Prabhupada's pranam mantra, we chant the shunyavadi, those believe in this moksha or impersonal liberation. Prabhupada uprooted this kaitava dharma. So therefore, this is called subtle atheism. And it is very, very more dangerous than a person who has, and we have seen that in our outreach also, a person who has this impersonal Mayavadi attitude. So please feel free to share your thoughts. But I have seen that person who has this Mayavadi attitude, it's more difficult for him to take to the process of personal devotional service than a person who is like completely zero slate. Imagine a slate, right? Or a whiteboard. It's all, if it's all clear, it's nice. Even if it's a blank canvas, it's easy to make a drawing or a painting. But if it's all hodgepodge, then first to erase that is a very difficult task in itself. And then to put the right drawing or the right painting of devotional service. So therefore, Mayavadi Bhasha Sune, Mahaprabhu said that you should be very, very careful, especially in this day and age where YouTube videos are available for so many thousands and thousands of people. And we may think, oh, this people has a lot of followers, this people has a lot of good views. Let me hear what his or her thoughts are. And we may get carried away. We may not understand what's the subtle difference. And it may sound very rosy cozy. They may give some proof from some scriptures which are, talk about kaitava dharma. So therefore we have to be careful and hear from the right sources, from the right scriptures, under the right guidance. Any other comments, any additions, questions here before we pause? Grace Ramya Prabhu is also present. Thank you, Prabhuji, for joining. We were just reading Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, first chapter, Adi-lila, spiritual masters. Thank you for joining. Anyone has any questions, comments, additions before we stop for today? Okay, so I guess we will pause here and continue tomorrow morning with the next verse from here. Srimad Bhagawatam Purana ki jai, Shri Caitanya-Caritāmṛta ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktavan ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patityanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.